Yeah, my name is David. Next to me is Cornelia. We both working on the Friedrich Schiller Universität in Jena in the Fusion Group. And um, Cornelia is the data manager from Biodiversity Exploratory. And me is the BEXIS2 developer since 2011. So maybe I have the most experience in the codes that there are existing. Today, we want to have a look on two different sides from BEXIS2, maybe the most important parts, two different roles we are supporting. One is the scientific rule, so a scientific member will try to add some data into BEXIS2, and on the other side, BEXIS2 is really flexible, so there is a need for a data manager to prepare something for the scientists that they should be happy. And so we will go through these two parts, and yeah, I guess we should start. I will go to the full presentation mode. So, okay. Next step. So the first slides will be some short introduction about what BEXIS is and maybe some sentences about or vocabulary that maybe is interesting in the next slide. So basically, BEXIS2 is an open source research data management. And the focus of it is to store tabular data and binary data. Binary data is like images, videos, and PDFs and so on. One point is data sharing. Of course, when the data is inside BEXIS2, there needs to be a possibility to give access to it or not. And the main feature of BEXIS2 is the possibility to have different kinds of metadata and data structures in one instance, or in general, it's flexible. So we will go through it later. Currently, there are existing maybe more than 20 instances that are using BEXIS2. So we creating the software. Again, it's open source, and some of the projects will use them as a data management place to manage the data. And today we will have a look especially on the also on the biodiversity exploratories, because we give a init setup of the project, and also we want to show how it looks in when it's really in a working place. So, okay.
Yeah, therefore, some words about the biodiversity exploratories. In this case, we understand under exploratories 3 different regions in Germany. There in the north, there's Schwarzheide Chorin, in the middle, the Hainich-Dün-Reitenau region, and the Schwäbische Alb. And in these regions, there are 50 research plots in grassland and 50 research plots in forest set up to investigate biodiversity. And the biodiversity exploratories, they understand themselves as a research platform. They were established in 2006 to 2009. And in this research platform, they meet different researchers from different disciplines to work together on aspects of biodiversity and how they are changed by land use management. And right from the beginning, there was the idea to have a central data management to make it possible to share data across projects, but also if people are coming there maybe next year, that they also find all the data which was already uploaded in one place. So right from the beginning, we have this BEXIS instance is the prototype of now the BEXIS2, what we present here, was developed in the biodiversity exploratories, and we store their data, I think, from 2008 on. Yeah, and this is something already David explained, that we have these two lenses. The one, it's my side, the researcher for this presentation. In the biodiversity exploratories, we have about 250 researchers per funding phase. And if you look back, we have already almost 250 projects which stored the data in BEXIS or which worked on the plots. Maybe less more projects stored the data in BEXIS. And David will present the side of the administrator and a data curator, who helps researchers to upload the data or maybe find data. And of course, there might be a third lens because we also have the core development team and associated developers, which make BEXIS really good for researchers and for their needs.
What we are storing in BEXIS2, we call it entity, and an entity can, for example, be a data set. An entity will describe by metadata and is also bounded to some data that may want to be uploaded into BEXIS2. Metadata and also data to have a big or a good data quality, we need to define some structures and rules for that. And so this means for metadata, for example, we have a metadata structure. It's possible to upload an XSD. That's an XSD into BEXIS2, and then we have a metadata structure. In this metadata structure, there are all rules. For example, okay, I want to have a title and a description, and for example, a date, and this date should be a date time pattern, and so on. And on the other side, by the data, we have the data structure where we can really define things like constraints, where we say, okay, this variable should contain numbers and at least maybe a range or subset of numbers and so on. Okay, let's go forward to the next slide here. Go to the presentation again. Yeah, and all these combinations with metadata structure and data structure and so on can maybe a little bit confused by the scientists. So we decide to create something like called entity templates, where the data manager can have a look on it and then say, okay, for example, we have observation data. This means at the end, we have a metadata structure that is nearly like the structure from GBIF, because they are looking for some data like this. And also we want that the user explicit using maybe a subset of data structures or have maybe no data structure and then can guide them into the right directions. Also by the entity templates, we have some data manager features. This, for example, every time when an entity is created based on such a template, then it's possible that, for example, some permission rules can be set automatically, or you can define which notifications, which person or which person in groups can have notifications for that. And also, at the end, there are some file types. You can restrict the supported file types based on the entity templates. And at the end, this is the left side, and at the end, the scientists will only see a list of these entity templates, can select them, and then can create a data set or something else based on that. Based on that creation of the templates. When we talk about BEXIS2, we're looking on maybe two sides of features. We already estimate that. We have a look on user features and also on administration features. Here is the overview about this. Of course, from the user perspective, we have something like a search. We have a possibility to upload data. The user can decide, okay, which person has access and on which level. We have dataset versioning. We have the possibility to grab the data via API, maybe for other tools like R and so on. We have a single sign-on. Maybe that's not so important for the users, but also we are able to reuse everything that we have created once. And on the other side, the administration features. On the other side, by the administration features, we have the customization of the search interface, because the search itself is full configurable. We have that on other slides. we are able to support multiple metadata structures. So this means also what kind of content in BEXIS2, what is stored there is really free, is really up to you. Currently, it's more or less in the biodiversity context, but also there are some other use cases where it can be used. We have some feature permissions, of course. So all of the BEXIS two functions are maybe secured somehow, and the administrator can set it up by their own. Maybe the rest we can explain in the next slides. Okay.
Yeah, now again, the perspective of a researcher. So if you come new to the project, you might be interested in what data is already there. Like right now, we have a call out there for the biodiversity exploratories. And usually the researcher would want to apply for a project. They go to our database and have a look what data is there. And there's the option to just go to the open data section where you don't need to log in, but you won't see all data sets which are in the database usually. So there's also an internal section with a lot more of data sets. And in our case of the biodiversity exploratories, we also store there our publications. But these are really internal, so these are only visible for users which are already in the biodiversity exploratories. So you want to see more, then you would create, or you're already part of the project, you would create your own account and type in your username, email, provide your email address and the password, and then it goes again to the administrator or data operator who's in charge.
Yeah, you will get an email, and then you should verify your email. And if you have done this, at this point you can log in, but you have no access to anything. So that's the part from the security features. The administrator or the data manager should go to that page and give you the the access to the specific features. The data manager can set the permissions individual by each person, but you can also create groups, like maybe an admin group or a project A, project 2 group, and then add members inside that group, and then you only set the feature permissions for the groups. And a feature, for example, can be the search, the possibility to upload data, the possibility to go to that group manager part. Maybe all of these, what you see later in the menu, is somehow configurable, what the user can do. So at the end, you can create really the different rules like scientist and administrator, and then the scientist will only have maybe 2 or 3 menu entries, and the administrator has access to all of these things and something in between. If you have an account, of course you can log in, but there is also the possibility to use something like an external service like LDAP and so on. Then the user don't need to register themselves, also only to use the credentials like in LDAP. Yes, that's one of the things.
So now you have account, and now you want to find data, and there was a search, and there are different search options. So you have a free text search on top, but you also have filters, or we call it also facets, on the left-hand side, where you can filter like for specific keywords which are specific for the project or for the instance we are using, or you have different other options to filter your data sets. And of course, the search is configurable, and the data manager does it for the instance and for the needs of the researchers in the specific instance of BEXIS2.
Yes, this is there is a page where the data manager can configure the search. And here are 2 examples. On the left side, you see that from the Ator data portal, and on the right side from the biodiversity exploratories. At the end, the search looks the same, but the content itself it's different because the facets are different and also, yeah, the content, of course. Um, so
Yeah, now my research topic is right now carbon and microbial biomass. And before I go out in the field, I want to have a look if there's already data in the database, and we will go to the open data of the biodiversity exploratories
yeah,
and just show, like I know that I want to do research in grassland, and we have like filters that I only see the data from grasslands plots. And I also have, I don't know, scroll a bit low. I know that I want to have some data about carbon. It's even a bit low. Oops.
was not this one.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah. So that I set these facets or filters that I have now selected, grassland plots and carbon.
One,
The
yeah.
grassland was done again.
So
And then you can see that there are less data sets. Now I have only 115 data sets, which are shown.
here.
Yeah, and on the top also.
Okay, yes, of course.
So, and in the beginning it was 10 times, so 1,500. And now I also search for the term microbial biomass.
Okay, we can ignore that, but at the end there's one.
And in the end, there would be one which has really the term microbial biomass in the title. Maybe there would be more if I just search for the microbial biomass in all parts of the metadata. So you can also select all, then I would get more results. And finally, at the end, I have to go into the data sets and check what data is in there and if I can use them and if it's maybe similar to the research I want to do. Well, now I know what was going on, and then I go out in the field and do my own research, maybe based on already findings which are in the database there, and maybe modifying my research aspect a bit. And then I got my own data and want to upload it.
Yeah, okay. I was shown, also nee, at first I explained it. Okay. Yeah, of course we can upload data or
Or maybe you show my data first. So I have like data from soil plots. So you see some where I took the data, the different sites, and I also have my variables which I took, so semi mineral carbon and all the other measurements, and I put them in the table, and now I go to the system again and create a data set. And the data set, I select one, like in this case, can upload file data, like you see below, like the pictures, or but could be also sound data, or maybe for pictures from wildlife traps. So then I would choose as template for files, but I have tabular data as shown before, so I choose the option tabular data and put in the required information, so the title and the abstract, and then I come to the dataset edit page, and from there on I go first to the metadata page, but you could also upload your data first. It's just up to you what you do first. But I go to the metadata page and fill in all the information about my data. And if it comes if it comes to my name and all the information about myself, I can just need to type in my name, and then it will take the information from my profile and fill it automatically in the metadata form. And then here again is my data. And with the data, I say, okay, maybe I need some help. Maybe it would be better to go to the data curator and ask what is the easiest way to upload my data.
so the answer is not so easy. At first, we need to understand what is possible in BEXIS2, and when we're focusing on data structure and we're thinking about quality of data, then we have different parts that we need to focus on. First is, of course, the data structure uh, is a number of is a collection of variables, and each of the variable can be defined, of course, with name and description, but also with constraints, units, and data types. And all of these things um, allow us to validate the incoming data against, and then bring a more understandable yeah, way for the data. So when we're looking on the constraints in BEXIS2, there are three different types that we currently can create. The first is the domain constraint. This means you have a variable, and then you can create a list of valid values. This is for the domain constraint. This means if a value comes inside, it will check against this list, and if it's not there, it's not valid. If it's there, everyone is happy. The range constraint is something like, yeah, of course, yeah, a range of a number set like 1 to 100. Is it 101? It's not valid. It's in between. It's okay. And then the third one is the pattern constraint. There is something called regex. It is quite complex, but also powerful. And if there are some tools online where you can create that regex parts, and then you can also copy that regex parts into our pattern constraints, and then you can use that to validate your data. The unit itself is not about validation, but more about data quality. So at the end, when you add there your units, then the people who have a look on that data have a better understanding. For me, it looks like a higher data quality, and also later we are able to compare data in the same unit dimension. Like maybe there is 1 kilogram and 1 gram. Maybe they cannot compare only by numbers. There should be a transformation there. And for this also, the units can help us later. And in general, when you're creating a data structure, there is some redundancy there. And in BEXIS2, we try to support the user with something called variable templates. And in this variable templates, you can predefine all the things that you had in mind before, like the constraints, like the units, like the data type, and also um, like meanings. We didn't touch that so far, but so you can pre-select it, and then the user, when they creating the data structure, they can select based on the variable templates, and then the most of the parts are filled. And if something is not correct, then also this can be changed directly. So we are not forcing um, to use really the content of the variable template, but at least it gives you the chance to be faster by creating the data structure. And with this knowledge, there is a way to have another view of the data on the data, and then you see, for example, in the first column, there's soil by soil. It looks like like a pattern that we can see. For example, maybe 3 or 4 uppercase characters. So this can be a rule by a pattern. What you can see also by the substrate, there is something like a string there. Also by the side may, we can think about to put that in a domain constraint. And also maybe other things like when you see here numbers, you can use integer, and also like this cellulose. I'm really bad in naming that variables, but you see there is also a decimal marker there. So there is a possibility to put the data type for this. Um, yes, and may you don't trust us that this is working. I will show it. And at first I need to come out to this. Yes.
And all these constraints make it really useful for the users. And if there's a lot of data uploaded, you can be really sure that all the researchers use the same site names. So it's really good for later on for finding it, and that you don't, usually you know that you sometimes you have a spelling mistake in it, but then the system will complain when the data is uploaded. And so you make can really increase the data quality within the system through these constraints, and it's really helpful. And another constraint would be like the pH value. So it's really clear that it can't be above 14. So that makes sure that also the data quality check for specific variables, where it's really clear that they only have a specific range.
Okay, at first, I'm now in the role of the administrator or data manager, and you will see here, here on the gear, there is a lot of things you can do in BEXIS2. And then when I'm logged in as a scientist, you will see something disappear here. So at first, let's start with the constraints there. Yeah. So each of the pages in BEXIS2 where you're managing something should look like this. So we are currently in a refactoring part, but at the end it should look like this. Will have a table here, and also on top you can create the this type where you're currently on. Now we are on the constraint part, so we will create constraints. So let's create at first a pattern for the soil. Yeah, let's call it soil pattern. And also, yeah, regex magic. And then you can select here one of these types. So we use this regex type, and of course I don't have it in my head, but in a file next to me. This is this one. And this allows only uppercase characters and only with the length of 3 or 4. So this means you can test it here when I'm entering lowercase characters. It doesn't work even if I create entering 2 uppercase characters. It doesn't work. 3 is working. So you see here on the result part, it will represent it. If I add a 4 one, it also works, but if I add another one, so it seems like it is our rule that we want to use. Okay, let's save it. And then let's create another one. So now for the sites, site list, all sites. This is later for selection. It helps you to get an overview about that. So we now using the domain constraint. And here you have different options. The first one is, of course, you can entering it like here. You can copy it. And then on the right side, you will see this is the list of the valid values. But you can also use, for example, existing datasets inside BEXIS2. And of course, you should have access to it. And when you have access to it, you can select the column. This is the fourth one, the side one. And then, where is it? I can import it. Now you see here, it imports all the values from that column inside this. But the duplicates will removed, and you have again here only that list. So, and I don't know why here are 4, so I will use that. And also you can import from a CSV file if you have a list already in a file there. So I save it, and now the constraints are done. So what we also saw in the file itself, there is something like units there. So for example, here for this, for these parts, and also here is the percentage as a unit there. And the rest is not like this. So what we need to do is maybe shortly we can have a look on, look on the manage units. And again, it looks like the same. Here is a table you can at first, maybe we can search by units and you see, okay, there is something inside, and also microgram, I'm searching for this. And I see also, okay, the abbreviation is also already existing there. There is something in the system that can help us. Okay, that's fine. Units we don't need to create. Otherwise, you can again open here this plus sign. You need to fill out the form, but I will not do it because on the time line that we have. So the other parts are the variable templates. Here we can create, also we can predefine some things that may later will automatically set up in the. So in May, we want to create that for the where we also created the constraints for the soil and for the site. I will do it a little bit faster because I look on the time and see that there is maybe not so much time. So I will call it, of course, sites, and we don't have a unit, so entering that here, all the drop downs are now also there are yeah, selectable, and also entering something inside. Here now you can select from our existing constraints, and here it's also type based. So you see, for example, here for the sites, we want to use this one. And also maybe here by the meanings, we can using this location information there. So let's, ja, ich brauche noch eine Description. Thank you. Yeah, available sites for our.
Because all the fields with the red asterisks are mandatory. So
Yes.
otherwise the system will get it or send it.
Okay, here's a
complaint.
small bug. I will remove that. So now I will also create something for the soil. Identifiers. Again, there is no unit. Again, there is the data type string. And now maybe we want to use this soil pattern. You approve it? Ah, habe ich das bei dem anderen auch gemacht? Need to check it from this side. You can, of course, you can filtering here in the table and also editing and yeah, editing the things. Yeah, okay, it's approved. Okay, fine. So now we prepared May everything for the data. Now different instances were also handle it different. One instance may prepare also the data structures for the instant for their project because they know the data is nearly the same, and it will reduce the work for the for the users at the end. But if the data structure is more flexible, so the user will generate it by their own. I will jump now to the part where I am the scientist. So, okay. Now I will go to create a data set. And you will see here now these three templates. How they called, that is really up to you. In the init installation of BEXIS2, we only suggesting also distinguish between files like images, PDFs, and so on, and and on tabular data. But of course, you can also, for example, have templates for project A, project B, project C, or for their it's called observations or it's called collections and so on. Um, I will go through this tabular data because I really want to upload data. And maybe I call it Soil to Mauer 26 in the future. Data from the future. So this is the minimum set that you need to fill out before you can create a data set. The data manager can configure that. So maybe the form can be bigger or maybe have
Even nur the title.
no, even only the title or nothing. It's up to you. It's up to the data manager. So when I'm creating that now, I will jump to the edit page. Hopefully, yes. And here is the landing page where you can do anything in any direction. So if you want to start entering metadata, you can do it. You can start by uploading a file, or you can really direct creating a data structure. We will start by uploading the file because we want to use the suggestion part of BEXIS2 by generating the data structure. Otherwise, I need to create every variable by my own. I don't want to do it. Okay, now here is the uploaded file. We can, of course, we can upload multiple files. So let's do also this and this. So now you have here 3 files.
But they need to have the same structure.
Yeah, they need to have the same structure. And then you can upload multiple files at once. So now you have here the 3 files that are currently only stored on the server, not in the database. And then you can now select here to create a new data structure or select create a data structure based on a file. And sorry. Something there. No. Okay. The system itself open now the file and then suggesting the specific parts of the file. It was pre-selected now because this is our test server and we were already on the ID 5. So, but when we're resetting the database and then going again to ID 5, then it will have the selection of the last one. So at the end, the idea is that the user should only select something once, and if the data structure or the file types and so on is not changing, then they don't need to entering something at multiple times. And okay, now the system saw that file, suggesting these parts here, and then you see here something like a preview, the first 10 rows there. Yeah.
Yeah, and as you see in the beginning, we had the file, we had only the variable names on the top and then the data below. And because of the recommendation that the system will automatically find the units, we have now a column, or I added my column also in a new line and have it there. And also, as it's a good, because of data quality and the FAIR principles, you need also a description for the variables. So I also added them in a specific line, so I don't have to type it in later on. And now this I can say which line contains which data, so the variable name, the unit on, and the description, and where the data starts. And it saves me a lot of work as a researcher if I do it already in my file and not later in the system. And this is, yeah, also a recommendation a data curator or data manager would give their researchers.
Good. At the end, the suggestion is now starting, and then you will see here the data structure. And of course, here the things that you marked on your file is already added there. And for example, here it's selected the template sol because it's the same name and also the same thing. And also the patterns are already added there. I will jump a little bit over this because so there is a suggestion, and then you need to prepare something for that. When you see here these red things, this means there are some error messages. For example, here it suggests somewhere you're loading that into the system, and then you only need to set up at least the title or setting up the primary key here. So I will do it. So now you can save it, and then it will automatically go back to the edit page, and then the files that you have selected will automatically validate it against the data structure because they are there now.
And you've already seen that David selected the primary keys. This is also important for data quality because then I can update my data set because I know there's really every single line is different. So there are no unique lines in there. So also again, a quality check already in the system.
Ja. Ich habe jetzt auch das Problem gefunden. So I have found it the problem here. Yeah. There was a wrong decimal separator. Yeah. Again, I can change this. Cannot convert it. So I need to jump over it. Sorry, I did a mistake here. But
usually at this point you should contact your data curator for help.
So, but I prepared a data set before. Now let's go through it. Okay, when the upload is working well, it should look like this. So you will have here, this is nearly the same structure that I have prepared now. And also here you can upload the data and it looks like this. Now you're able to download it in a different data format, and also you can filtering the data and only downloading a subset of these things. Okay, and after this, the user can or the data manager can set up the permissions for the data sets or the entities itself, and there are these 4 rules: read, write, delete, and grant. And again, you can set it up for groups and for individual users, or there is a request system where when a person looks on the data set and then only see the metadata, then they can asking for getting access for the data set. Yeah, this is one thing. BEXIS2 is really customizable. So one of the things is you can really creating your own landing page. This means with separate HTML, you can decide if a footer is and header is there, how the footer looks like, and so on. And these are again 2 different examples for it. Also, there are a lot of other things in the application settings where we looking on different data manager perspectives and then try to support them with these features. Like, for example, with these variable templates, when a data manager is really preparing a lot of these variable templates, then hopefully the user should use them. If not, then maybe it was it doesn't matter for the no, it was bad for the data manager. So there is a tick that really the user should select a variable template. Otherwise, they cannot store their data structure and so on. This is one example for this for the settings.
Yeah, and of course there are also other modules in BEXIS2. You can, it's open source and configurable, so you can add different modules. And in the biodiversity exploratory, since we are running this instance very, very long, we have a lot of additional features in there which are not based on the data. Like we have document system where you can provide documents, like rules, how you have to behave in the field. So we have one page where I find all the important data sets and also important rules for working in the biodiversity exploratories. We have like a photo gallery where you can find pictures which you can use in your presentations. And as we have 300 plots, we have also a plot module where you can find all our plots there, how they are laid out. It's in the, the lower chart. And there you'll find the plot and all the single specific plots of the projects in there. So if you come new to the project, you can see where you still have a spot where you can make your research, or if you may be joining a project later on, like the botany project, which is running from the beginning, you can look at the plot charts and you see where you have to make your biomass inventory or plant inventory, because you see where they usually do it every year. So, and there are also other features which really help the researchers planning their field trip, being in the field, and yeah, later on we showed the part about the data. Yeah, and in the end, we can say thank you for listening to us. You can ask us questions, and yeah, still going on, we want to make the data accessible, usable, and sustainable. And we showed it from two different points of view, from the user and from the admin. Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.